Hello? Seems like I'm the only one here, so I'll just wait. Let's see. I think I'm supposed to. Hello? Oh, you're still a listener. Invite to speak or invite to co host. Invite to co host. Right? Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. Okay. Hi, everyone. It's adding him as a co host, I think. I don't know. Try again here. He has to accept the invite. I see. All right. So we gotta wait for Robin to accept the invite. Oh, let's see. Well, if you accept the invite to co-host, I don't understand how you would need to also like have an invite to speak. That doesn't make sense. Does it work now? No. Okay. I mean,
Okay, now you should be able to hear me.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Cool.
All right, perfect.
So if my phone dies, I guess essentially you'll just run this stream. And in the event that that happens, I guess what does your setup look like? Do you have like a laptop or a desktop or something?
If I do, no, my laptop just died on me the other week, so all I got is my phone.
Oh, you only have one phone then, nothing else?
Yeah, afraid so.
All right. Well, if anybody wants to volunteer, if my phone dies, I can add them as a co-host, and then I can call them, and then they can put that on speaker. So if they want to volunteer to do that, you know. Other than that, I don't know any other solution to this issue. But with all that said, hopefully the phone will not die. We'll see. But yeah, I can't even believe that you can't even start like a space on desktop PC. That's why
That
would
is
they
so
make it that way?
bizarre.
Yeah, why would they make it that way? Anyway,
But it's Twitter, eh?
let's see. I am giving Curb Your Existentialism permission to talk because they might want to take the offer with the speakerphone thing. But even if they don't, yeah. Okay. So just jumping right into it, I was thinking, well, I said during the first hour, it'll probably be half hour now. We would talk about kind of both of mine and Robin's perceptions of where, like, Stu's, I don't know, life online started. Who do you want to start?
If I want to start, well, I suppose probably quite a few people wonder how me and Jim go back and so on, because of course most people, yeah, they already know about our spat that's been going on now for what is it, yeah, almost 2 years. But it actually started first when Jim took off as a figure in within the QAnon research community. He was making this video clip of him joining Twitter with a brand new account and how it quickly escalated to get more and more right wing information. And I, like so many others, we commented on that, and I think I linked into an article about how Russia had been influencing politics and so on in the US, which he immediately thought, oh yeah, this is great. So he retweeted that, and we had a few, friendly communication off and on, the first few months up to December, and then he started TTP, and a few people invited me to join the thingy project Discord. And I thought, oh, okay, let's have a look at it. I went in, I had a look, and already there I got
That's
some,
interesting.
yeah, because
I think I split with him even before he started TTP. That's how early it was. I think it was even before he started TTP. Like it was
yeah,
maybe even a month before. It was a while. So
yeah.
anyway, keep going.
Yeah, so anyway, I joined the TTP Discord, and I mean, there were a lot of people. I mean, there were I would say there were people there in the hundreds who were participating in it, and there was a lot of different channels, and quite a few of the channels. So it was the same kind of conspiracy talks that you basically see QAnons talk about, and
Hmm.
there was no like,
A lot of people sent me logs. I
yeah,
never joined
yeah.
myself, but a lot of people sent me logs, and it was crazy, what was going on in there.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, and that's why because I went in there, I had a quick look around. And I thought, wait, we're supposed to help people. They're getting suckered into conspiracy theories, and here, literally promoting them on.
I mean, if you want to look at it, it's just the most worst way, that StewAnon is just the most debased person. You could say that, like, he knows that Q people are very susceptible to joining ARGs. And so he's kind of giving them a pitch that, hey, if your current ARG isn't working for you, a lot of them unknowing that it's an ARG, you know
Yeah,
what I mean? But if your current ARG, or let's just say a way of looking at the world, isn't working for you, I've got another one that is just as conspiratorial, that involves just as much waste of time, quote unquote, research. But, you don't have to believe in Q, and you can still be I don't know, a quote unquote progressive,
yeah,
right?
yeah, indeed.
So,
But then we fast forward, from end of December. I think the first week of February, if I remember right, Stewartson, he was tweeting something about Ali Alexander, and he chose to use Ali Alexander's given name from he was from birth, which is Ali Akbar, which I consider. I mean, that's pure xenophobia because I mean he has chosen to use the name Ali Alexander, which is understandable because walking around in the U.S. or anywhere in the West with a name like Ali Akbar, I mean, you are gonna get a stamp on you. That doesn't matter if
right.
you are a genuine asshole like Ali Alexander is, or if you're actually a good person. It's still going to be stigmatized as the name. So I have said something along the lines to Jim that maybe you shouldn't use yeah use that name because he chose to be called Alexander. You really weaponizing xenophobia, and of course Jim lost it. They told me to shut the fuck up, and he blocked me. And
Oh, okay.
that really got me concerned. Okay, so this guy is supposed to hold a dialogue, with QAnons and so on. Tell QAnons that no, this is just not right. So that really became a turning point for me to look into more into TTP, what it's really about. Are they really going to help? And
So I guess you followed me before he blocked you, right?
sorry,
You followed me as well, I think.
say again.
So what did you think of, kind of, because I posted all our conversations, I
Yeah.
remember, when I decided to block him. What did you think of that at the time?
Well,
Because a lot of people are very mad at me.
yeah. Well, I was only being a bit skeptic about the entire TTP thing, and definitely I didn't buy into his hardcore theory that definitely Flynn is behind Cubans on because it's
Mm.
just conjecture upon conjecture upon conjecture. There's nothing that substitutes evidence by any standard, which of course I always saw that was problematic. And then when we started talking about yeah, we're gonna deprogram people. That just rings so badly. That just rings so badly.
Yeah, it makes total sense. So, okay, I'll tell my kind of story
Yeah,
of getting involved with him. Um, like you're saying, right? He just appeared one day in 2020 after, Q had already been going on for
yeah,
years. Like I even consider myself somewhat late because, I only cared about it after, like, I fell out with the Watkinses over 2 Channel, right? So it's something totally different, and I never thought Q was important. The first interview that I did with Cohen Holback, I basically, like, said to him, I don't know why you're wasting your time making this documentary about these crazy people. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't get it to the degree that a lot of people did, so I consider myself kind of late, but nowhere near as late as, fucking Jim Stewartson, who basically, started researching it when everything was already said and done almost,
yeah.
right? Like, yeah. But in any event, I, don't try to like bash the noobs though, as you could say, right? Like, I don't want to just totally destroy him or whatever. So, even though I disagreed with a lot of his approach to things, right? I didn't get in any public spat with him. But I mean, you guys know from following me, it's kind of just a matter of time if you're a grifter and you're around me, and you know, uh, you ask me to do something for you, especially, and I do that thing. and then it doesn't work out how I was expecting. I mean, it's just a matter of time. And so, yeah, you know, he told me, oh, I've got all this evidence, and it's going to be amazing, Fred. But first of all, you guys know how I am. That like he wanted to just send me thousands and thousands and thousands of emails and then get me to like discuss the evidence for hours on the phone. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. But because even if I do that with you, right? Like I'm not a reporter. So me, quote unquote, knowing the truth about this does nothing other than if it's actually true, right? I might say something inadvertently on Twitter that will leak a big part of it, and then you won't be able to get it published in a real outlet. See, so I was thinking more that way. And so I told him, as an alternative, I'll set up an interview with a reporter I know and tell them that, I haven't really looked into it myself, but this person might be worth talking to. That's what I did. Now, of course, when that person, Dale Barron, right, came back to me and said, Fred, why did you have me call that crazy guy? and then I, really started pressing him on the nature of what you sent, on the nature of what was discussed, And of course I talked to Dale on the phone as well, right? And he told me, some of what was discussed and the nature and all this. And so, when I pressed StewAnon back and was like, is what I'm being told here true? Is this what you believe? And is this what you think is the journalistic standard of evidence? And, he basically tried to, I guess you could say, reset my expectations. So he made it out to be like that this is all just a game of virality, right? Not actually getting verifiable claims published, which is what I thought he was trying to do, but it's actually a game of getting a lot of people reading your stuff or looking at it, right? And regardless of whether it's true or not. The influencers, I don't know, playbook, I suppose. So I, obviously that argument wasn't going to go anywhere with me. And so I put a challenge to him, which stands until this very day, believe it or not. I put a challenge to him that, you leaned on me and you wasted the time of a reporter that I, think is a very good person, and you made me look like an idiot. And so I'm going to block you, but if you can ever get your claims published in a reputable mainstream media outlet as fact, I will unblock you. And he was so like mad about this. He messaged me from behind the block as well to try to get me to unblock him. That's all on my timeline. I haven't deleted any of it. I posted all the messages and stuff at the time. But I also remember at the time people were very mad at me and said that, I wasn't being fair to StewAnon. Even a lot of people that are here right now, you know what I mean? Like that I just blocked him and gave him like an impossible demand, because how is he going to get, a reporter to publish it without my help? Well, first of all, why would he need me only, as if I'm, the only person that knows, like he could have, this is funny to say now in retrospect, but from my perspective, well, he could message Travis View or, Julian Field, right? Like there are other people he can ask for help. Yeah. That was before he totally went crazy on that.
Yeah, but of course, there's plenty of options that he could have talked to, but he instead went, of course, no one. Yeah,
right?
No one knew about it at the time, but he was completely losing his shit in the Discord moderator channel, initially talking about how he was gonna destroy the reporters. I made a list, a hit list of I think like about a dozen reporters that were controlled opposition. That's just ridiculous. Every reputable reporter in the field, they're all controlled opposition. It's just such a ridiculous idea.
Well, that's because he got into a disagreement with me so early on, and I went back down at all. So he basically had to take that view. I think like the thing about this man is he's just incapable of saying, oh, you know what? I was wrong. That wasn't quite right what I said there, and I apologize, and because I would, of course, have been willing to accept that too. But like the thing about him is he just won't accept he's wrong, and he has all these claims that he can't get published in a reputable outlet. So like, what else is there to do with him other than block him and ignore him? And that's the view I've taken for 2+ years. So I don't care. Like, okay, QAnon was also popular, Jim. I mean, like a lot of people had eyes on QAnon, Q influencers. A lot of people watched that stuff, and they went quote unquote viral. But okay, and right, like it, yeah.
Yeah, and I think actually, I don't remember how I actually, discovered you to begin with, but I'm fairly certain it must have been around 2018 when you started to have your public disagreements with Jim Watkins and so on. And of course, QAnon, being on 8kun, of course, then I started following you. And that's where I saw all the input you had and all the insights you had there. And then, of course, it was in 2019 when you kept 8kun offline for 3 months in a row. I mean, that really went to prove that you are definitely not helping QAnon. It's only this twisted narrative come up by the StewAnons that you're helping QAnon.
Narratives. I mean, he comes up with crazy narratives for everyone though, as to how they're quote unquote helping QAnon. Like it's not just me. He says that, for example, the QAA folks, the people I just noticed, that they are apparently secretly keeping Q online because like it's how their show makes money. But I mean, no, their show. Like, as long as online conspiracism exists, those three will be fine. And they've made so much money over the past, I don't know how many years it's been, that there's no reason to suspect that, like, they're going to be in any hardship if Q were to end. And how do I know that? It's because Q is essentially ended, right? And they're fine, so...
Oh yeah, of course. Because, like you say, I mean, it's not like QAnon is the only weird ass conspiracy out there online. I mean, there's plenty of. I mean, you just have to throw a stone and you hit something. It's
like everybody he talks about. He has a conspiracy theory for why they benefit. Like Mike Rothschild, he says that he needs to keep his book sales up. Like what? That doesn't make any sense. I don't know what his issue is, and I think it makes the least sense for me because I don't benefit at all financially from my Twitter following or my Twitter account, right? Like, I don't take donations. I actually refuse them. I don't have a Patreon, or I do have a YouTube, but it's not monetized, right? And so I barely post on it. I mean, I just post on Twitter because I like to, and maybe, I have a larger account than normal for somebody to do that, to just post like, an average user, I guess, not really caring about engagement, just posting whatever you want. And, if people follow, they follow, and if they don't, they don't. But, that's
that's also to talk about making money off of this and so on. Of course, I mean that's something. I mean, for how long have you been holding off on paying my paycheck that I should be receiving?
Yeah, he thinks he thinks that I like pay people. He thinks that I pay you, Robin. He thinks that I pay Jan Bobrovich. He thinks that I pay.
But then we look at
others.
And then we look at end of last year, because as you know and some other people know, I mean, having this one doggy rescue that only had one eye, and she got the glaucoma on that one, and then for the first 6 months I was spending every 4 hours throughout the day giving her eye drops for it, and eventually there was no recourse, but I had to get her surgery, and going through a divorce, not having been able to work for 6 months because I was taking care of the dog.
Oh, that's right. I donated to that. I remember that now. Yep, that's right.
So actually, what I first did, I was actually starting this Ko-fi, which was more like, mocking, making fun of StewAnon. I didn't go out and say it. I was actually trying to get money for my dog's surgery. That actually only came to happen when Steph Curb Your Existentialism, when she heard about it, she started a GoFundMe for my dog, and immediately. he was twisting that this is probably a fake fundraiser for a dog that basically doesn't exist. I mean, he didn't say it outright, but it was very, very heavily insinuated. And the thing is, I mean, there's been pictures of clips of me and that dog for fucking years on Twitter.
Right.
Don't forget, that's how.
But they are, oh, dog comes. It's dog comes, you know.
And now we're having an affair, obviously.
Oh yeah. And they should just know all the kinky things are happening.
Well, yeah. Anyway, I remember this now. Yeah, I when I saw that he was like basically insinuating the dog wasn't real, I decided to make him even more mad by donating to it. Right? And
Yeah.
I don't even remember. Didn't I donate like it was either $66.66 or $666.06. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it was 66. It wasn't 600. That I would definitely have remembered because that would be in the record donation. I think the highest one were in the tune of 100 something, and that was actually from one of the former TTP mods that I actually used to bash heads with a lot before they came around and woke up and say, okay, this is actually a bunch of bullshit.
That's been my experience as well, because basically everybody was against me at first. I didn't have really anything on my side when I first said that, this guy Jim Stewartson is a complete asshole. He is totally not interested in doing any actual research. He's only interested in building his following on Twitter. That's fine, whatever. He can go viral by spreading conspiracy theories, but people ought to know that that's what he's doing. And I mean, it's not fine in the sense that it's a good thing to do, but it's fine in the sense that it's a legal thing to do. And, there's not anything that I can do about it. But and
there I definitely stand by what I've been saying now for a long time, that the first and foremost reason that he did it was just to line his own pockets. Because, I mean, as we know now, he was being chased by his bank for a credit card debt of $30,000. Yep. And just in the same period, he started his fundraiser for $25,000.
You want to know something funny? I actually chose my bank because it was the one that's StewAnon. It was in a lawsuit with Wells Fargo. But that's the only reason I bank with them is because of that. No other reason. I even have a brokership account there. That's where I have my VW shares. So
yeah. No Tesla shares yet?
Oh, no, never. I mean, why would I be betting against myself? If I buy Tesla shares, I'm betting against myself because,
Yeah, that was just a joke, man. That was just a joke. I don't know. Maybe we should invite people that have questions, or if someone wants to share their experience, because I see there are a few people that used to be in TTP. I think maybe it would be a good idea to let other people have a word.
I will, but it hasn't been a half hour, and I do want to try to finish, the whole story.
Sure.
Yeah, but I will in 10 minutes at 3, like I said originally. So, okay. Then strange things start happening in the world of StewAnon, like TTP, the thing that made you realize. And he gets connected to all these strange characters, like Heidi Kuda and, Mr. Jarvis.
Yeah.
So, I don't know where these folks came from, but I suppose they just found his Twitter account, but the most sus one of them both is Heidi Kuda, because she has actually worked for far-right think tanks before. So
yeah, she
is really sus. Yeah. So I don't know what to think about that.
No,
but,
and that's also, now that you mentioned Steven Jarvis and so on. Actually, just today, he got an article published on BNN. It's supposed to be an interview of him, but of course, like all BNN articles, it just says as the writer BNN newsroom. And there, of course, he goes to the institution.
BNN? What is BNN?
It's basically a news aggregator. It's from what's the name of this Indian guy? He just got banished from Twitter. It's basically just a news
website. Is that all it is? It's a fake news website.
Sorry?
Is it a fake news website?
No, it's basically a news aggregator that say that they have reporters all around the world. But basically all you have to do is you fill in you give me your name, phone number, email address, and a short introduction, and basically you can start writing for them.
It's like Daily Cost, right? It's like Daily Cost or Daily KOS, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
maybe it's
not Daily Cost. It's pure junk. It's the man in question is Kahal. he got kicked off Twitter about a week or two ago when he got into a spat with the NAFO guys. And he started threatening people left and right. He was going to dismember them, or I don't know what. It was completely ridiculous. But then we see Jarvis, he got this article published there, which I would say it's just Jarvis writing about himself, like he's interviewing himself. It really reads like that way. And he goes on his usual rant. He's accusing Conspiratore Norteno for having this console that he's using to suspend people from Twitter, and so on. It's the same usual bullshit, but on a new platform from him.
Okay. I'm not really sure about what BNM News is, or why you're not okay with calling it a fake news website. I mean, if it allows anybody that just puts in their name and to post, I mean, that's a fake news website, whether they call it that or not. I mean,
Yeah.
Right? I mean, am I wrong on that? You can't call yourself a news site and then have no editorial.
You're exactly right. You are exactly right, Fred. That's like that one conspiracy site. I think it's beforeitsnews.com. Anyone can post on that. If it's open to anyone, it's bullshit.
Right, or before it's news. That's
yeah.
Yeah, before it's news. Yeah, that's like a Trump MAGA one. But Daily Kos is the same deal. It's just that more liberals tend to use it, so people get offended if you say that it's a fake news website. But it can be, if it's used that way. Yeah, I mean that's how Huffington Post started, but then they changed, to actually have an editorial control. Yeah.
But also, but maybe to go back a little bit to Heidi Korea, because indeed, like you say, I mean that's interesting. I mean we that are criticizing StewAnon, we've been called far right, Nazis, fascists, you name it. And also, we're also communists. It really depends on how they feel at the moment of writing, whether we are far left or far right. That varies from time to time. But indeed, then they're sitting there co-hosting a podcast together with someone with a track record of being basically someone working for the far right to get the message out.
It's pretty clear to me that the divide here, to the extent that there's a political divide, is between liberals and leftists. That almost everybody that opposes StewAnon is a leftist, and almost everybody that supports them is a hardcore, quote unquote, centrist / liberal, right? That wants to be told things, easy answers. It was Russia. The system isn't the system's fine, guys. It was just Russia, and if we just fight Russia hard enough and give the military-industrial complex enough money, everything will go back to normal. And the domestic terror, what? That's not a big deal. We just have to fight the enemy without. It's not the enemy within. But that's how I view it. It's a comforting narrative to people in power, but it only has the problem of not being true.
Yeah, and indeed, and I mean because also there, I would say that Stewartson, he's been drumming up a bit of fake opposition from QAnon, but basically going into the various QAnon channels on Telegram and whatnot, and it really trolled them, and of course, that pisses them off, and then they start, trolling him back, and he's using that as proof that he's really doing such a great job of fighting gays and they're so afraid of him. No, they're just tired of your fucking bullshit trolling, just like Flynn. I mean, Flynn is not afraid of me. Flynn is not afraid of me. He just thinks he's a fucking nuisance. That's it.
In our last 5 minutes here, to kind of tie the end of the story, and then I'll start inviting people one at a time to speak.
Cool.
Is Steve Jarvis. So again, where the hell did this guy come from? Now, the thing about Jarvis is, it doesn't perplex me as much because he's just so stupid that, he would be attracted naturally to StewAnon. That there would be there wouldn't necessarily need to be some overarching reason, because Heidi Kuda is smart. But Steve Jarvis, I don't know if he could tell his dick from a hot dog. He is an idiot, a complete idiot. And it's, it was saying that he was a teacher of special needs, children with special needs. I'd be very afraid for any of them because he is just very dumb. And that's kind of why he got attracted to StewAnon. Just because he doesn't have the IQ necessary and the rational, critical thinking rather necessary to see through it. And he Yeah, I mean, I tried to read his book, the reasons that Donald Trump is like autistic. And well, first of all, the reasons were all nonsense, but it was also very offensive because like saying that the president is bad because he is autistic, like, okay, so what did you think of the autistic students in your class? Quote unquote, Mr. Jarvis? Like, is that how you viewed everybody with autism at your school? Because it's not good. Well, he's not still teaching as a special ed teacher, right?
Sorry?
I said he's not still teaching as a special ed teacher, right?
Oh, no, no, no. He stopped teaching some time back already, and basically he can't find a new job in teaching. Whatever happened, it's something that probably stopped him from ever continuing in that career. No one really knows for sure. There's a lot of speculation, and I'm not going to join the speculation on it, but it's pretty clear that he can't work as a teacher anymore. If he could, he would have. I'm certain. Because now he's just because now he's just sitting at home writing a new
Well, he did that to himself. He did that to himself, and everybody said, I even remember. I think I wrote on Twitter that if he continues to do this, he will lose his teaching job. Like, and it's not a threat. I never would have emailed the school or done shit like that. I didn't. I didn't even know until you just told me that he was no longer working as teacher. And I don't know the name of the school, but I knew that this would happen, and I mean, so that explains his continued involvement then, because like it's kind of like Stu. It's sad in a way because Stu, the reason he must continue is because he's completely burned his reputation doing anything else. Like in the tech industry, nobody will want to work with him because he's a conspiracy theorist and an ARG shithead. Even in making ARGs, right? Like his former Microsoft employees won't want to work with him anymore, and so that's why they must grift. And and Jarvis, I mean, the thing about Jarvis is like he's double fucked because I don't think his blog would make any money. I mean, I've tried to read it before. It's half nonsense and then half reposted articles from mainstream sources that he has just put his own spin on. Who wants to read that?
Yeah. No, so when you look at and when you look at it, it's pretty obvious. He have 4 regular readers, and 2 or 3 of them, they're here on Twitter, being obnoxious little assholes, trying to be cool and try to earn cred with him, get a small pat of shoulder. And I mean, that's his entire fan base. But the problem with him is, I mean, he's going to such lengths, stalking people like K7. Right. There was a period this summer. I mean, whenever she changed her PFP, he would tweet about it. And she had one where the PFP sort of looked like it was naked, and that was, such a big drama.
He has even said that people's dogs aren't real. But I need to cut you off because it is 3 o'clock and we have to start inviting people to speak because this is when we said. So if you want to speak in the chat, what you should do is press request, right? And then you'll show us at the top for me, and then I will let you speak. And then after you're kind of done talking to us, I will take away your ability to speak. And then I'll just do the next one. And we'll do that for, until the requests are depleted or until I get tired. So, if you want to speak more
can I go first?
Yes, that's what I was about to say, because you requested to speak. No, you're first.
Yeah. And then I would say that. Can you say one word? And then I would say that we do it in order because Bello Grappa has been having a request pending for quite some time. That's my bad because I started to invite people early, but then we do people in order. So Bello Grappa, Devian Flea, and then Todd Fine. All right, shoot, Steph.
I just wanted to say that the thing that, and you guys know that this is the angle I always come at these things from. The danger of Stu is, if I had come across, luckily I got out of the conspiracy theories before Stu came along, but if I had just been coming out of them and I came across Stu's post, I would have totally been a member of that cult, because when people are coming out of conspiracy theories, there's a tendency to cult hop. You saw it with Steve Hassan, you see it with Jenny Thomas, And you see it with the StewAnon people. You're taking people. You need an interstitial period of no exposure to conspiracy theories in order to actually get away from them. And luckily, I had that before I came across you. But I had come across him like the day after I declared on Facebook that I finally believed not the official story of 9/11 and Sandy Hook. I would have gotten sucked into that, and that's dangerous. And I think he knows that's what he's doing. That's the real
Oh,
thing.
he does. I actually forgot to mention this guy, but it's a good reminder. It's the reason he's involved with Neil Rawhauser, right? Because that is Neil's entire shtick as well. To get people who are coming out of conspiracy theories, and he goes way back with this. Like, you know, it's not just Q with him. It's all kinds of conspiracy theories. To get people coming out of conspiracy theories to join his little conspiracy theory, right? Like both Rawhauser and StewAnon run ARGs to an extent. I think that Stewie's ARG is less competent, to put it like quite frankly, because it just doesn't have the long-term like reach that Neil's has had. And yeah, I mean, the fact that Neil was in the Discord, the TTP Discord for for StewAnon, right? And seems to like kind of be directing a lot of what goes on with StewAnon from behind the scenes. And it's not easy to prove that, but he is the same type of guy, as in he is a guy that has claimed, you know, to know who Q is in the past, right? He is a guy that has claimed to like just have insider information and contacts with, you know, inside the government and inside the, I don't know, FBI and DHS and just anything important that you can think of. Yeah, so he is definitely one to watch if you want to understand like StewAnon and stuff. And the thing about Rawhauser is it doesn't matter how much I criticize him, because he's a lot more strategic than Stu. I mean, I have said that I think Rawhauser is just a total, like, out there, you know, Plan 9 from outer space, just completely gone with the wind, and I would never want anything to do with this man. But yet, every time he sees that, like, something's going on in my life that might make me vulnerable to his, I guess, entreaties, right? He will, you know, unblock me and start sending me messages. And I just can't put up with the man. He is like Stu, but a lot more strategic and been doing it a lot longer. So, yeah, he's somebody to watch when it comes to this. Do you know who I'm talking about, by the way? Neil Rawhauser?
I don't. I never heard that name before, but I will definitely look into it. And
his aunt is American Hacker. He's friends with Aubrey Cottle.
Oh, okay. And I also just wanted to say it's nice to hear your voice again, Fred. It's been a long time.
Yeah, thank you.
Like 2 years?
I mean, I don't like the thing about guys like Jim Stewartson and Jim Watkins is they love to hear themselves talk, and they're always doing streams. It's crazy to me. It's like I don't know. I know that people like me and that people want to hear from me, you know, occasionally, but I can't imagine just constantly like being online and talking for hours and hours at a time, you know, about like nothing. Most of the time they talk about nothing. It's that's why I try to save it up, you know, and do it when it's important, so that way we actually have something to talk about. You know.
All right, should we let some people come in and
Yeah. Let's see, I'm going to let I'll do it in order here that I saw. So Glomar, this is their account name. See if I can figure out how to do it. Let's see. Click. Add a speaker. Okay, you should be able to talk, Glomar A. Hello? I added you. I guess, if he doesn't talk
Hello?
for like,
Okay, I had the mute
yeah,
on. I'm sorry. This is like literally the first time I've ever done one of these things.
no problem.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Fred.
I'll just say going forward, if somebody doesn't talk for like 15 seconds, I'll move on, but then, you can request again and then, yeah.
Okay.
But anyway,
So, hey, very rich target field here, but want to address first Jim, obviously, because the one incident that really got me, realizing that this guy's a wacko jacko, and they're not here. They're like busy off doing something, but a guy named Tony Moon showed up to Rocco Castoro and Emily Molly's house in Hollywood to harass them for his reporting on his connections to J6, to Tim Pool, and reposting the video that he is shown smashing a metal water bottle over a woman's head in a riot in Los Angeles. And Jim was like, going into TTP, going around to people and telling everybody that Rocco and Emily just made this up for attention. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? There's like literally video of him showing up to their house. You meaning to say, Jim, that Rocco and Emily like filmed a fake thing in Hollywood to make you look stupid, Jim? Like,
I mean, that wouldn't, I don't want to defend Jim Stewartson, but it wouldn't surprise me to hear that Rocco Pastoro lied about something. Dude lies all the
yeah,
time. So,
no, I mean, this was not a lie though. This was like,
oh yeah, I mean, all of them say true things occasionally, even Jim Stewartson, right? So, like, I totally get where you're coming from. That, like, yeah, most likely if Jim Stewartson is saying it, especially if it's like a criticism of somebody else's content, it's most likely false. But Pastoro doesn't like me at all either. So.
Well, I mean, look, flyering the neighborhood with Rocco's face and all of this, I mean, it'd be a very long route for him to say, that Rocco really engineered that. That's all I really have to say about that. Jim went around telling people that
Sure.
this was bullshit.
I mean, do you think I'd like to ask if you think I'm wrong that Castoro and Stewartson have a lot of similarities.
I think you're wrong with that. I think Rocco's.
Really?
Well, here's another reason why Rocco got into the beef, where Jim got into the beef with Rocco. Jim had these
because
patents with.
Castoro has taken Jim's side against me before and just posted StewAnon content as quote unquote evidence against myself personally. So I'm kind of curious why you think this, and I personally think I'm right. The only difference between Castoro and StewAnon is that they believe in a different conspiracy theory.
I don't have any recollection of that specifically, but Rocco was able to find that Jim had patents for ARG software patents that apparently were owned in tandem with Patrick Soonshog, who's
Wait a minute. How can you patent what StewAnon does? That doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense. But there are patents out there that Jim has for these, and I read them, and I'm like, I'm not even really sure how these would factor into his, software writing or whatever. But he ran a company that it was a $200 million company into the ground. And Patrick Soonshog and Mark Burnett were a part of that. So when Rocco brought this up to Jim started making up all of these lies about him, like sending Tony Moon to his own house.
So in the timeline thing, when would you say that happened? That StewAnon and Castoro fell out.
That was 2021. This specific thing happened. I don't think they ever fallen in the first place.
Oh no, that's not true. They took each other's side in 2020 against me. Like I said, remember when I just said in the beginning of the stream that everybody was against me? Castoro was one of the everybody, right? So I mean, him and the bad company, bad with 2 Ds there, right? And StewAnon were all together on a side for a while. But the fun thing about Jim Stewartson is he falls out with everybody on his side eventually. It's
okay. Well, that's obvious to see.
So I just had a quick look on Google Patents, and there is one patent for augmented
wanted to.
reality mission generators with Brian Allen Lee, and I did a search on Jim Stewartson's name, and that was the first one that popped up. And there are a few other transmedia story management
All right.
systems.
Well, we can look into that, but I don't want to argue too much
I
more
just
about
want to
that.
do one other point of information before I hop off. The BNN guy's name is Gurbesh Chahal, and he's most known for a domestic violence incident where he kicked his ex-partner 117 times. And that's who Jarvis is defending and interviewing with. So...
Yeah.
Oh, 117.
107.
Wow.
Or it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
118 times, but it was
117 it was.
Yeah. Vile.
All right. Well,
yeah.
Thanks for chatting, and I will add the next person. Let's see. If you want to talk again at the end or about more of this stuff, you can. Let's see. All right, remove, and then there we go. Todd Fine will be next with this cute little orange invite. Oops, I did the wrong thing. Add as speaker. Cancel co-host. Okay.
Yes.
Are you there?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm an intellectual historian, and I wanted to kind of step back a little bit because I'm a little confused. My understanding is that StewAnon is kind of a left-wing version of QAnon or evolution of QAnon.
Basically, yes.
Yeah.
Basically, yes. He's kind of like I used to call him BlueAnon, before people like Marjorie Taylor Greene started using that term and kind of ruined the term. But I think BlueAnon is a pretty apt term for what he is and what he does, especially Bad Company. Bad Company is a little bit more BlueAnon than him.
And I guess, that gets back to the fundamental question of whether QAnon itself is a financial grift or is an expression of right-wing extremism. And I guess that's the overall question is what is QAnon fundamentally? Is it an ideological thing or is it a money-making grift? And if it can return into something left-wing, then doesn't that imply it was originally right-wing? So that's kind of my question.
Yeah. Well, here's my question. Well, here's my answer. First of all, QAnon did not turn into something left-wing, right? It is a tactic. It is a way of engaging with politics such that you can, you hope, create changes that you want to see in the world politically through the tactic of ARGs. That is what QAnon is. QAnon is just the first very successful example of one of these, political ARGs. That's what I would call the entire category. So StewAnon is another political ARG, where the fact that it is an ARG is not said to the participants, but the high up influencers all know that it is. And anybody who still believes in it and has a high enough, I guess, ability to actually do online research knows that it is an ARG. And the only reason that they continue to engage is because, well, they just have a different moral framework than you and I, where they think that this is an okay way to make change because our opponents are doing it. And it's just lying to people. Politicians lie all the time.
Yeah. And if I can jump in, I would say Q is original writer of the drops, or the writers, probably should say, whether they were actually doing a grift or not, that is unknown. But then, of course, in the wider, broader QAnon world, there are dozens upon dozens of grifters, and some of them are making really, really good money on it. And as you always see when you have a big community of grifters all in the same area, they also have their own internal spats calling each other out for being grifters, which is always fun to see. So, there's definitely a big grifter space within QAnon.
Oh yeah,
that is for sure.
Yeah, you're right that it's so it's kind of both, because the influencers wouldn't be doing it, I don't think, just for money. I do think that they do it because they think that it is okay to lie to, quote unquote dumb boomers and to use quote unquote meme magic, as they, call it, to create the political change that they want to see in the world, which is fascism. It's just a way to create fascism. And I think that as far as StewAnon goes, he sees that and says, okay, this is a way that we can create, progressive things, or liberal things, I should say. Not really progressive, because he's very unhappy with people like Bernie Sanders. He's very much like a Bidenite. He is not one of the reasons he doesn't like me so much, right?
Yeah. Definitely. That's also like I think it was in November. Stewartson, he was writing a new another post on his Substack. It's a really, really long, lengthy one where he opens up basically begging for money because he wants to launch a digital army to fight disinformation. Now, where do we know the term digital army from? Come on.
Right. Oh, yeah. It's obviously just like, digital soldiers, digital army. It's the same kind of idea where you create a so-called like research army, and it's all about just like coming up with a game to radicalize people into your political beliefs, and that is what QAnon did, and that's what StewAnon does, and whatever comes next, that's what they're going to do.
Indeed, and where QAnon have the entire left, anyone that identifies as a Democrat, okay, they're automatic, child eaters, basically. So I mean, they have this very basic, simple enemy for everyone to rally up against, and that's also what Jim has. In his case, he have Flynn. That's the boogeyman of StewAnon. And that's someone that's very easy for people to hate because, I mean, Flynn is also a fucking major prick. So it's very easy person. So someone that's very easy to you give people this little nugget like, here, this is what he's doing, and then you start feeding them information and try to link it to QAnon. So people don't even do the effort of actually researching, see is there actually any substance to it, because they want to believe. And that's what he's feeding into. He's feeding into people who want to believe that Flynn is behind everything evil that's happening in the world today. It's easy as that.
I mean, the thing that I think is the dumbest about it is it gives Flynn way too much credit. The main challenge that I'd like to put to people that believe in StewAnon is, okay, so if Flynn is this mastermind, like you're saying, he's so smart, he's just this galaxy brain that's controlling everything and all of this, how is it that he got kicked out of the fucking Trump administration? Not a high bar there, so early. And he's one of the only people actually in the Trump admin that needed the pardon from Donald Trump, or he would have went to jail. That doesn't speak to just galaxy brain, 5-head IQ. It speaks to just he's a grifter, idiot boomer who got in way over his head and then, decided, hey, all these Q people, they look dumb as fuck and they're sending me money. So why don't I just keep, nodding and winking at them? And also they want fascism, which is what I want. So,
is there any overlap between Lyndon LaRouche and this, which is kind of an established liberal New Dealist?
Yes, that's a great thing to bring up. Yes, it's the same. Lyndon LaRouche, I would say, is kind of an old version of or a political ARG, right? Because Lyndon LaRouche, he's got all of these enemies and all of these theories and things you have to believe, but it's all about creating the political changes he wanted to see in the world, but it is an ARG because one of the things they believe in is so out there. It has to do with the resonance. It's very technical. It's that the resonance of sound is wrong and that it should be in the musical scale different than it is, than the standard tuning is, and that we chose the wrong tuning, or that the Europeans essentially chose the wrong tuning. I don't know. I don't care if people want to use a different scale. That can be an artistic decision, but to make it a conspiracy theory is the thing that ties it perfectly to StewAnon, because it's using conspiracy theories very with an evil mindset to use them and to say, okay, a lot of people in this world are dumb and fall for conspiracy theories, so I'm going to use them to create the political change I want because I can get a lot of followers by using them. It's that, and that's why I have no respect for StewAnon or Lyndon LaRouche for that matter. Okay, I'm going to let the next person on. Thank you for joining, Todd Fine. Let's see, remove. All right, I don't know how to say this person's name, but add a speaker. Oops. They disappeared as soon as oh, hello?
Hello.
Hello,
Hi.
Dulce, you're on.
Hi, Fred. It's Ari.
How are you doing?
Hi. So I just wanted to say hi to Fred, but I think that as far as like the technologies that kind of affect, it's not just ARGs, it's like political subtext. QAnon is not just an example of a well-involved ARG that many people profit off of. It kind of represents a technology through which the existing political memes scape the landscape of the memes is subverted. So the existing distrust that has all these thematic elements that many people are familiar with as boomers is then twisted into this like new perfect form psyop, essentially, that's used as a technology now by both sides.
Oh, I don't want to be too rude, but I didn't understand any of that, and it sounded like word salad to me.
Oh,
I'm
okay,
sorry.
so basically, like, if you were to describe the existing political conspiracy theories of the like past, I don't know, 3 or 4 decades, right?
Right.
All of the things that QAnon evokes, at least for the conservative attitudes, are the same conspiracies. The ARG includes.
Oh, well, yeah, yeah.
And
Right,
that's
but
on
I don't
purpose.
understand how you can say that that's not similar to what Stu does. I mean, for example, hating Russia goes back with liberal boomers like a really long
Yeah,
time.
like hating Russia and China, blaming Russia and China for everything is the same kind of conspiratorial hint that has always been part of the subtext of American history.
I would say Russia in specific, though, for the kind of liberal that Jim Stewartson is, because even in the USSR days, like Democrats in the United States had to show their hatred of Russia more than Republicans did because they're on the political left. And they wanted to just make it clear to everybody, hey, we're not socialists like them in the USSR. We don't believe in that.
Well, yeah, I think
And so
a lot of this basis in the opposition to socialism and to actual leftism instead of like neoliberal leftism really comes from this attitude of not giving people socialism because it's what
right, yeah, sure.
Russia
Stewartson is a neoliberal. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. He's a neoliberal through and through.
yeah.
Okay, I do understand what you're saying. Then, yeah, I mean, and describing it as a technology also makes sense because it is like a new way almost. Lyndon LaRouche maybe had something similar, but his was nowhere near as dangerous or as explosive, right? It was just kooky, and but to use the internet the way that they have to ruin people's lives, because that's what it does. I mean, okay, you can think of like the boomers that got involved with the LaRouche stuff. Okay, they would have wasted a lot of their time, reading his books about Perfect Pitch and other stuff like that. But they wouldn't have had their phones all the time and like staying up, all night long until 3 a.m. reading just insane theories all the time and just totally destroying their lives and giving all their money to influencers. And then, eventually one day, like putting a van on the Hoover Dam. So that in that way, it's a technology where they take advantage of the fact that,
I feel like
everyone,
boomers have. Can I fit? I guess what I wanted to say was that like boomers have a lot more time to do things like browse Facebook all day, and they're much less susceptible to like filtering things on the internet. So they don't have much more than their own personal beliefs, which ultimately twist them further into conspiracies and like ARGs.
That makes sense too, and that's why when COVID happened, we saw this huge rise in believing conspiracy theories because basically the entire country got like a month off, right? And that's what caused a lot of young people to get involved in it. It's funny because like I'm semi-retired, so I'm kind of like a boomer in that sense, right? In the sense that
Yeah.
I run a nonprofit that works on free software that I want to see be done. So what that means is just like I totally self-direct what my day looks like every day in the same way that a boomer might. And so, I totally understand how you know, if you are, let's say, in retirement and you don't necessarily have a plan for how you're going to stay busy, you'll get sucked right into QAnon. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I think that main attitude towards like being open to it and not having a like adversarial or like questioning relationship with information you find on the internet. Boomers take a lot of stuff for granted because they see it as like, I guess, a less, not necessarily a responsible news source, but they see it as like not necessarily all lies all the time. They don't have this skepticism.
Right. They don't have the skepticism that, you know, you and I do, because like we grew up on jams, right? And so whenever I read something online, my first thought, that's a lie. Like, that's probably not true. And then, you know, it's only through really researching it that everything is a lie until proven otherwise.
It's fake. We made it up. This one's a fake.
Right, exactly. Like the worst, I made it up. But anyway. Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry for, you know, originally saying that I thought that was word salad. It was just a little too complicated and I didn't understand it.
Yeah, I know. It's like it is a really kind of interesting take because it requires you to like abstract the political concept of basically StewAnon and QAnon both using these sentiments that are hyper emotional and kind of very easy for boomers to get attached to, and then really look at it like this is a framework for which people build an ARG on top of that is compatible with the views of the left neoliberals and the right conservatives.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm going to add the next person. Thank you for talking. I also
Thank you. It was really nice to just hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I used to follow you on a different handle. Maybe
yeah,
got suspended.
That account is just like sleepy for now, so I'm on this one.
Okay,
you can do
cool.
here.
Cool.
It's been great to talk to you. Thanks.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, the next person is ZX Rocks. Add a speaker. Hello. Oops. Oh. Hello? Did they quit? Okay, looks like they quit. So I'm going to add Dr. Christian Cedarquist. Hello. Are you there?
Hello?
Yep, I can hear
Fred,
you.
how's it going?
How are you doing? I'm doing fine.
I had a question for you guys because you are following this way more than I am. And, you know, I remember when Stu got kicked off, he went to his Substack, but he really, really wanted to be back on Twitter. And it was very obvious that he wanted to be back on Twitter. Now that he is back, on Twitter, what do you all think are the implications of that?
Well, I think I'll let Robin answer this one a lot more than I will, but I'll just say that I think the implications are really bad, which is why I'm doing this. I mean, you know, I don't really like to do live streams that much. I just do them when it's very important. And I think it's very important, at least, you have some kind of like audio record of it, because, you know, not everybody can read my huge writing of
the way I see it, I mean, ultimately, the way I look at what the messages Stewartson is spreading, I see it's quite a dangerous one because it's encouraging conspiratorial thinking. Because again, when he's building his line of evidence to prove, you know, whatever he wants to prove, he never rely on anything that would actually qualify it as evidence. It's just pure, mesh of red strings going all across the whiteboard, and it's really introducing people to that way of non-critical thinking, and it's telling this very simplified message, and it's very easy to rally up people up behind something like that. And conspiratorial thinking never leads to anything good, and it doesn't matter if it comes from the left or if it comes from the right, it never leads to anything good. So of course now when he's on Twitter, he do have regained a larger platform again. So I see in the long run it's definitely something I would rather not see, because I see nothing good is going to come out of it. Nothing.
However, and I want to ask you about this too, Robin, but I think that, you know, if he is celebrating right now, he maybe shouldn't. And I did mention this to you on Telegram already, right, when we first talked. And I just want to know if you think I'm right, because, okay, the larger platform is a double-edged sword. I mean, we were in an equilibrium, you know, before he got back.
Yeah,
and
but
nobody cares.
no, but indeed, because it's like as like I've been saying so many times before, actually, Stewartson's greatest enemy is himself, because he has no self-control. He lashes out left and right. At the moment anyone gives him even the slightest counter criticism, he immediately places those
Right.
people into the rank and files among us with the so-called control opposition. I mean, he just can't take criticism, and that kind of exposes how weak his own theory is. Because if your theory is strong, you can take criticism and you can take questions about it, but he cannot do that.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean,
So he will expose himself as well. But at the same time, he's going to do like he always does. The moment someone bites back with a question to his tweets, he's just going to tell that person to shut the fuck up and then block them. Because I mean, that's how he operates, and that's how we maintain his own echo chamber. So the only way for people that follow him to get an alternative view is to themselves seek out answers elsewhere. But that's, of course, is also something that he discourages, because he's telling people, yeah, if you do this, they're going to come after your social media account, they are going to get you suspended and so on. I mean, so he's selling that fear message to people that follow him, that don't confront our opponents. They are going to get you suspended. They are going to ruin your life.
Yeah, the thing I wanted you to answer, okay, my theory for what's going to happen long term with StewAnon is as follows: that it's going to be good for him at first to be back on Twitter, but it's going to be bad in the long run. Because the reason I think it'll be good at first is just because, a lot of people will see what he has to say. The reason I think it'll be bad in the long run is because a lot of people will see what he has to say. And what that means is people that would have never even considered like writing about him in a mainstream source again, after Dave Gilbert did the excellent piece about TTP, right? And essentially just totally destroyed his movement, his movement's ideological foundations. Let's put it that way, right? And it just made him look like a clown. It was like a sealed book. And him getting suspended off of Twitter, it made him so low level that even people that were being harassed, that were trying to get, attention on their story, to try to stop the harassment or to strike a blow against, Stu and crew, as I call them, it wouldn't go anywhere because, there was no interest because his platform is so small. The platform that the MSM publication has is much bigger. And so with him back, I mean, I don't know how long it's going to last until there's another Vice thing. Like, not in Vice itself, it might be in Vice, but, until there's another mainstream publication, because, like you just said, he will just get into a beef with anybody that disagrees with him, no matter who they are. And that's going to be, soon enough, a reporter or, somebody else of that caliber who is not going to back down. And do you think I'm right on that or not?
No, you're absolutely right. And yeah, he wants to be the center of attention, but also ultimately, I think he somehow knows himself as well that being center of attention is not really beneficial to what he's trying to accomplish. But of course, to accomplish what he wants to accomplish, which again, I stand by, he just wants to enrich himself. He has to be in the center of attention. So he has to force himself into this space where ultimately, he is going to end up being the loser again.
So did that answer your question, Doctor?
Yes, it did. Thank you so much. It's great to hear y'all's opinions.
Okay,
Thank you very
great.
much.
Thank you. So I ran out of people to invite to speak. So if we're done, then I guess we're done. So please, press request if you want to.
So I jump in because I know that at least I know that D, I think maybe that is D coming in, or Mitchell. Okay, so give Mitchell a word.
Yeah,
There.
I will do that. Add a speaker. Hello, you are on the, I don't know, the Fred show or whatever the hell this is.
Hello?
Hello? Yep, I can hear you.
Hi. God, I'm a Luddite. I don't know how to use any technology. I just have a comment about you guys were talking about how Q is just one an ARG. And have you guys ever seen or heard of Second Life?
Oh, sure, yeah. A lot of furries are on Second Life. I've never played it.
There's a great documentary called Life 2.0, where these
Oh, I've seen it. Yeah.
where people get so, I mean, they get so enmeshed in this other life that they destroy their families. And it occurred to me when you were talking about how, how people, I've never done any virtual reality stuff at all, but it's exactly like that, it seems. So if anybody wants to watch that documentary, it's very well done and it's incredible. I'm going to rewatch it, in fact.
It is very well done. I would maybe say that while it is similar in that Second Life and QAnon both get people way too addicted to the internet, and then that destroys their life. At least Second Life doesn't change their ideology and make them do anything violent. Like, okay, nobody is ever going to do a terrorism because of Second Life, right?
Yeah. I think someone that maybe could come in here with a good word would actually be Karma if she's hearing this, because I mean she really has first-hand experience of QAnon, how it directly affects families and so on.
You should request a talk.
Yeah, so I agree with that. And then this is just a comment about Jim Stewartson. I just think what it boils down to is he wanted to get rich and famous and be the big cheese in this thing. And when he lashes out at Mike Rothschild and the Q Anonymous podcast, whatever it's called, QAA, I'm not sure, but they have a great, very successful podcast, and they were, making, I read somewhere, like $70,000 a month or something, and what they make, with Heidi Kuda and the Radicalized podcast, they don't make any money, and I think that's really he's obviously in debt. It's Jim Stewart, and I think
you're totally right.
The simplest to me from is he's pissed because his covers got pulled and he's desperate.
Well, I mean, okay, the thing about him also is that he wanted to be successful, and ever since the time that he had to basically come out in a big way against me, he has had to take on a bunch of theories that preclude his ability to be successful, essentially. Yeah. Because the things that he has to believe to continue to fight this stupid war requires him to just be enemies with the QAA guys, to be enemies with Mike Rothschild, right? Like, he really, really should have just apologized to me. And he really should still do. I mean, come on, Stu. He'll almost certainly hear this. I do think that there is a world potentially where you are just not a total drain on everything and everyone, every moment. But it has to start with you admitting that you were totally wrong in almost everything you've said about me for the last whoever the hell knows how long. And, maybe think about the fact that, like, you were very willing to be my friend so long as I was willing to care more about your going viral than, the truth. And so, I don't know, think about that and maybe just try to change your life, because it's sad. I hate to see somebody destroy themselves like this, and he does it every day. And I mean, I don't know, he's just never going to be respected in any field ever again. And there's really nothing I could do to even change that. Like, even if I wanted to, because, okay, let's say that I were to just, I don't know, fall off my wheelchair, along with my phone, right? And hit my head and then, just become a StewAnon. That wouldn't help him, right? Like, even if I were to join his side, it wouldn't help him, because his theory is still so insane that, even having me saying, oh, actually, he's right, like, I would just lose, all of my support. It wouldn't help him. And so, yeah.
I think he's constitutionally incapable of admitting any that he's wrong in any regard.
So do you think it's like a narcissistic thing?
Oh yes, I think so. I think it's a personality disorder thing, and I'm not a shrink. Jesus, I'm more the patient of the shrinks. But I never want to. But I don't know. yeah, I just think don't hold your breath, I guess is what I'm saying. I don't know. It's very sad. So anyway, I'll let other people who have way more knowledge about all this speak. But thanks for taking my comment, and thanks for doing
Yes.
this Spaces.
Yep. No problem.
I appreciate it, and keep doing all your cool typography. I love that.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Did you want to say anything on that, Robin, before I invite Owen?
No, we can let the next one on.
Yeah. I mean, do you think that it's possible that, Mr. StewAnon is a narcissist? Obviously we are not shrinks, but it has occurred to me.
No, I'm not sure, because I actually never taken the time to really analyze his behavior to try to fit him into one psychological profile or another. But possible, I don't know, to be honest. I don't know.
Okay. I will invite Owen then, who I think lives in Australia or New Zealand. Let's see, add a speaker. Hello, Owen. You're muted. Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, sweet.
But I can also hear myself.
All right, sorry, I just got to turn this off. All right, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
All right, we're good.
And I can't hear myself anymore. Good, okay.
All right. Yeah, so I just wanted to say that, like, he popped up on my radar when he started attacking you and QAA, and that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you were very early then, yeah, before TTP.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. So, like, I've been following QAnon for quite a while, like, basically since the start, and chatting to the QAA guys for a few years before he came.
I mean, I'd like to ask you, like, what was your memory of that? Because, okay, from my perspective, I didn't really attack him that hard, like when I blocked him. I just blocked him because I just didn't think that he was providing any value to my timeline. And I didn't think that he was telling the truth about anything. But, like, it's not like I said, I'm just going to make this guy like the focus of my account. It's just going to be 24/7 hate against this guy. Like, it was just hey, if you get published, I'll unblock you because you're serious, and if you can't, you won't. So, like, am I wrong on that, or did he just take it to?
I think that he blew it completely out of proportion. Like, I thought it was just a basic rejection of the premise that he was kind of putting forward. Was the initial?
That's what it was. I mean, it wasn't even about him as a person. It was just
No, it was just about the information. Because if you're in the this information space and trying to put out accurate info, then it'll get rejected.
Everybody as a person. He attacks everyone as a person. I mean, it's unfortunate that Jan didn't show up, but like he attacked Jan for being gay. It's very strange. Like he attacks everybody for just physical or like traits about them, and I don't understand why he does it. It's called ad hominem.
I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that he's just incredibly bitter because his theories that he's come to incredibly late in the game, which I know that's like a very sore point for him personally, discovering QAnon in August of 2020.
Also, it's interesting how none of these folks have showed up to debate me, isn't it?
Pardon?
None of these folks have showed up to debate me. None of them on Stu's side.
Yeah, right? Do you remember we tried to organize that, and he's like, "Oh, debate anyone."
I remember. Yeah, it was you and I.
Yeah.
Because he was saying like, "My Rothschild debate me. My Rothschild debate me." And I said that I would, debate him, but he doesn't want to. Like, I don't. The only reason, in my opinion, that he offered the debate to Rothschild is because Rothschild won't take it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I like debating people online. I don't debate anybody over anything. Like, it's. So. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to think of them huge cowards if nobody shows up to debate me on their side. Yeah.
Yeah, and I too. I also been throwing out. Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, no, because I also been throwing out, offers to Jim that okay, debate me if you want to. I'm more than open to it. But I never got a response. But I'm for sure he has seen it, and he knows that if he would, face any one of us guys. He would just flatten him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he knows also that the person that he's got a problem with, it's not really Mike Rothschild. He's got a problem with Rothschild because he has a problem with me. right?
Mm.
Like if he wants to debate anybody, it's really he wants to debate me, because I was talking about this to Robin when we first started, but I mean, if you want to put a single event on like the turning point where, StewAnon went from, I don't know, I guess kind of normal, kind of weird, but still sort of mainstream, guy to just batshit insane is when he fell out with me. And, yeah. So, I mean, I'm the one that, like, he really should debate. Not that Mike Rothschild wouldn't cream him. Rothschild absolutely would. But, it's, yeah.
I just think, yeah, there's just no way that he would, because as Robin said, like he would just get completely demolished. But I mean, I think the thing for me with Jim Stewartson is, and forgive me if I sound a little bit croaky, it's quite early in Australia. But
no problem.
Yeah,
I wanted to do this actually like late at night for me, but it wasn't good time for the Europeans, so that's why we're doing it now. I'm sorry.
No, that's all good.
I wanted to do it at midnight for me, so it would have been like 12 noon there.
Blame it on the Europeans.
Yeah, my paid European trolls, as they call them. All my paid European trolls, as they call them. That needs to be at 2 p.m.
But I just want to say, as well, like the thing for me is that he came in so late that he just lacks the context of time and kind of monitoring what was happening. If you were really paying attention to the events of the Trump administration and how that related to Q drops and, how QAnon developed, then you would be very well aware that Flynn is not the guy behind QAnon. Like it's very stupid. But there's also the fact that he makes the most basic of errors as it relates to conspiracy theories in general. Like I've been studying conspiracy theories for upwards of 15 years just as a hobby because I find it interesting. And he just makes the most childish, basic of errors and then kind of churns those into these kind of larger theories that he
makes basic errors about everything. He makes basic errors about every single thing that you could possibly make an error about. I mean, one of the things that he one of the hills that he refuses to give up is the idea that 8chan was not started for Gamergate. It started in 2013, right?
Yeah.
And he will not give that up, even though it is obviously false. And that there is irrefutable technical evidence that that's false, because you can just look at the Whois records. There are web.archive.org results. There's the original thread, still archived, where I advertised it on the 4chan technology board, so nothing to do with video games. There's the fact that I don't play video games. I don't like video games either. It's not that I don't like them, it's just that I'm not that good at them, and I feel like they're a waste of time. And so, since I was 16 years old, I haven't gamed at all. And that was true at the time that I started 8chan. And so that's just one thing though that he gets totally wrong. And it's and there are so many, and that's why it's kind of fruitless to try to list them all, because then you kind of start sounding like him.
Yeah, but then there's the kind of fact that he calls you consistently the Gamergate cult leader. That implies that...
It's very strange. Yeah, it's very strange, because I never cared about the issues of Gamergate, one way or the other. My argument, which was a flawed argument, but my argument back then was the free speech argument. It was that's why, I found it attractive to work for Watkins, because he owned the largest, BBS in Japan, 2 channel. And so I felt that, he must know a lot about running free speech websites. And then, I get totally
but that is actually a great example of, how he built his evidence. Because, okay, so you had 8chan, the Gamergate people, they came in, and basically his evidence that, you are the great grandfather of Gamergate is that famous picture. It was this party that the Gamergate guys had, and you were present, and there's a picture of you together with a bunch of them. That's his evidence that you are the master behind Gamergate. A photograph.
Are you
that's the
talking
evidence.
about the New York Magazine article from 2014?
I don't know what article it was, but it sounds about right. Yeah, and
Yeah, the New York Magazine
basically,
article about the party that I had right
yeah,
before
yeah,
I was in the Philippines.
yeah. And that is the entire line of evidence. Yeah, you were the creator of 8chan. Gamergate came out, and there's a picture of you with Gamergate guys. Hence, ergo, Fred, he is the father to Gamergate.
Yeah.
That is not evidence of anything.
It's not. But the funny thing about that picture too is, okay, if you actually read the article, it says in there that it was for 8chan's first anniversary celebration. So, okay, the article is in October 2014, right? So that means that 8chan had existed since October 2013. So that means that 8chan was not started for Gamergate. I mean, you know, the thing about Stewartson is oftentimes his evidence, so-called, is self-refuting in that way. Yeah.
And it's exactly. Can I say one more thing before I hop off? It's exactly this.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah. It's the exact same thing as with Flynn. How he constantly insists that the fact that Flynn like Twisted Sister, we're not going to take it, like that. You know, within a Q drop.
Or the fact that people will add Flynn, or the fact that people will add Flynn to a certain Twitter chat room. That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, but like, you know, that is irrefutable proof that Flynn was behind Q because
yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it possible to start a DM with anybody? Like, couldn't I add like Obama and Hillary and Donald Trump all together? Like,
yeah,
it's ridiculous, and none of them will answer. But like, yeah.
But basically, also another, like he's a heavy hardcore evidence is that Flynn is the master behind Q. Is this one picture that Gal Suburban was pulling off a Facebook page of a QAnon or a Flynn supporter. You have Flynn in the foreground, and behind it you have it like a personal note to this Facebook owner, and then there's a smiley with the tongue sticking out, or it looks like a Q. That is hard evidence that Flynn admitted that he's Q. I mean, something's been pulled off a Facebook page of a QAnon. There's no way to verify if that is even real, if the owner of the Facebook page didn't manipulate the picture.
All they need to do is draw one line.
Yeah. And to him, that is, yeah.
Deanna has been waiting a while, so I want to add her.
Sweet.
I will. Thank you very much for chatting. And I'll also, while I'm removing you and adding her, I will answer some questions on Twitter. Redwood Man says, I'd love to hear from the beginning. It's marked as recording, so when it's done, you should be able to. In the top left, you should see where it's saying like REC, and then the red thingy is flashing. I did mark it as recording, so I'm not recording locally, but I hope it is recording, because if that's a lie, then that really sucks. Okay, so with that said, add a speaker, Deanna. Hello. You're marked as muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Just going to ask that you pardon my crappy diction, because it's been a while since I've been talking to people. But
that's okay. I don't think we've ever spoken, actually.
No, we haven't.
You've been in my mentions for quite a while, but I don't think we've ever spoken, so it's nice to hear your voice.
I mean, people actually can know that I exist now, other than, Quacks, who's like the only person who I've talked to in person.
Oh, it's hilarious how the StewAnons always think that like I am just like running every account and that I am everyone. And,
well, yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that floors me, is that they really do not seem to understand that we are all real people, and most of us that are talking right now are all completely normal, mundane people who are not involved in political anything.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even consider myself necessarily involved in like political anything. I have a mundane job just like everybody else. Like, my job isn't being a Twitter account, even though I could make that a job, but it's not. Like, my job is being a font engineer and a software developer. So I don't get why they think that about us. Other than they have to, because it makes them look really bad if they don't, because they are all paid
upending people's lives, and that's their actual intention. which is, I think, something that I'm hoping that people will be able to focus on at some point. Whenever this gets whatever kind of coverage it's going to get, the simple fact that they are trying to weaponize people with all of this constant repeated propaganda. The propaganda tricks that they use are so well documented, and they're so common. Anybody can look them up. Just observing their behavior, it's easy to see the patterns, and it's unfortunately really hard to get out of them once people fall into it.
Right. It's the same kind of, it's ironic that StewAnon calls me like the so-called, what was it? Robin's cult leader of Gamergate or something, because the tactics they use are almost identical to what Gamergate did.
Oh, exactly.
Right? Yeah, it's the same kind of just make something up about someone, keep saying it over and over and over again, and try to get that person blackballed, from their employment.
Yeah. And cite yourself as evidence from the first time you pulled it out.
Yes, right. Yes, yeah. Well, Jim Stewartson is the king of citing himself. I mean, if he ever cited sources, it would all just be like Stewartson J, Stewartson J, Stewartson J.
And that's one of the things, is they do not understand the difference between factual evidence and baking or leading questions. And
I think Heidi Kuda does, but Heidi Kuda doesn't care.
Well, or does, and knows that one is really effective in getting bad information spreading.
Right. I mean, Heidi Kuda, she used to be an actual reporter. And so I know that she knows what a journalistic standard of evidence is,
People can still fail there because, I mean, my father was a journalist for 33 years. And, he watches Fox News and believes it religiously now.
Wow, really?
It's unbelievable. I mean, this is the reason I got involved in any of this, is to keep my parents away from this. I mean, Fox News is bad enough, but I didn't want them getting into QAnon. And
so you were able to succeed at that with him, right? I hope.
Yeah, I've been able to keep them away from that, thankfully, because I warned them pretty early on. Or at least early on into the pandemic, and said, stay away from this stuff.
See. Yeah, okay. Well, that's good at least. I mean, I'm pretty lucky that my mother is literally in the 60s, she was a hippie, right? She was more interested in the legalization of marijuana here in New Jersey than I was. I know that's really funny to say, but it's totally true. She was updating me on it. It was cute. Oh, Fred, did you know that the dispensaries are legal now? I think I read about it. And then, totally opposite of what you would think that conversation would go and who would be driving it. Yeah.
I just added a tweet of mine. We're tweeting out a tweet from Jim, which is really a prime example of just asking questions. This picture of Flynn standing with his arm around some Jack Singlad, and Steve asked, why does he have his arm around Jack Singlad? Why is he with QAnon lord Sidney Powell? Why did he delay the NG on 116 and then lie his ass off about it to Congress and the DOD? That's just asking questions. It reads exactly like a Q drop. It reads exactly like a Q drop.
Isn't that the approach that they refer to as their version of the Socratic method? The most ridiculous nonsense I've ever heard.
Yeah, indeed it is. It is.
Well, StewAnon is essentially just a Gish Gallop. It's just a different one. They have their own favorite evidence, and they just refuse to hear anything else. I mean, it's crazy.
If it fits their narrative, they don't care if it's true.
Yes, exactly.
That's all there is to it.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And oftentimes, when people post their DMs with Stu, when Stu has turned on them, Stu will always ask, why are you saying this? Not, is it true or is it not true? He'll never want to debate the facts. He'll want to know, why does this matter to you, whether something is true or not, which I've always found very revealing about who he is as a person.
And there's usually a lot of, well, who put you up to this? Who's influencing you?
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Why? As if there has to be a reason other than you spread disinformation, right? There is no why. And for me, since the very beginning, there has never been a why. Like, it's always just been a what. And the what is the disinformation that he has constantly spread for years. So you're the last speaker, so I'll just say again that anybody that wants to speak should just press request. I'll wait for, I don't know, 30 seconds or so, and then, if nobody does, I'll end it there. But yeah, I mean, I feel that this went well. I really think that, what I said is going to happen is most likely what's going to happen. StewAnon is going to fly too close to the sun again. He is going to, piss off somebody. He'll find a way to blame it on me, I'm sure. Even though,
it'll be all of our faults somehow.
Yeah, it'll be all of our faults. Even though I'll most likely have nothing to do with it.
Yeah. All the more after this.
All of our followers,
I just wanted to say it was good to hear Fred's voice again. Deanna, holy shit, your voice is incredible. And to my darling Robin.
Yes, sweetie.
Give Lulu some kisses for me, and hello to Karma and Cassandra and Prism too.
You want to know something funny, guys? I thought that the two of you were actually dating because you call each other sweetie. I didn't know that it was a Jarvis conspiracy theory. I thought you were actually dating.
No. That was actually a direct reaction to that nonsense that Stewartson was spewing out. So of course we really reacted back.
You guys know that's just how I am. I try to be as ignorant as I can be about them because it's such a waste of time, and he, I did want to say for anybody that's being victimized by this group, it sucks. The situation is terrible. Like, I hate, what's going on with it, but there's nothing I can really do. And I would say that if I have any advice to give people, it is that he doesn't matter. Just don't read his stuff as much as, I know some people who are his victims, like just constantly like refresh to see or read all of his content to see if they're in it. And, even if I'm mentioned in a Jarvis post or a Stew post, the only way I ever know is if somebody tells me. And, I understand, especially when it's first happening to you. Like, of course, you want to rebut everything he says, but he'll run out of stuff, like, quick. And when he does run out of stuff, it's probably smart, to just not talk about him that much. And I think you've done that, Dee. Like,
Yeah, I've tried to step away from it. I mean, it helped that I've gotten further into the AI stuff where I'm just nose deep in it all day and I check in for like 5-10 minutes on Twitter. And if I don't see, it's much better. It really
well, I'm a programmer, so that's a job that requires a lot of like constant, sustained effort. Karma calls me like I have like the one tab disease, so I will just only look at one tab, and it doesn't matter what's going on outside of the one tab that Fred is open. That's all he sees.
Yes.
So, yeah. Okay. Who? I saw that somebody requested, but then I think they quit. Can't even remember who that was now. Okay. I feel like I gave this enough time. Although Sarah did join. If Sarah wants to talk, she might not know it's open mic.
I was just gonna say the same.
Yeah, she might not know it's open mic, so you can just request and I'll add you. But otherwise, if she doesn't want to talk, I'll end it here.
I just invited her to speak in case she wants to, because I would love to hear what she has to say.
Same.
Okay. Hello. How are you doing?
What do you know?
I owe you a package I still haven't sent. I haven't got down to the post office. It's my fault.
That's fine. I don't deserve presents.
I mean, everybody deserves presents, right? I mean, that's the opinion of Santa Claus, at least. Even the naughty kids get coal.
I don't get shit. Hold on. No, connect me for everything. Am I connected? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's not working. I just tried to get on my headset because I'm going to the weed store. So I was just going to listen to y'all.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Well, unfortunately, we're ending it, but this was on record, so you can.
Oh, cool. I'm glad we all recorded me saying I'm going to the weed store.
I'm sorry. Well, if you want, I mean, I can download it and then cut that part out.
That's okay.
Okay.
I want them to know. Because no, fucking so is he like back on Twitter or did he already get banned again?
Yes, he is.
Oh yes.
Nope, he's back on at Jim Stewartson. He's back, yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, it's not going to go well for him, and I'm pretty sure you know that.
Brennan,
I think he's made it longer than anyone expected already.
Brennan, the government gave me a card that lets me smoke weed. I don't fucking care how it's going to go for Jim Stewartson. He didn't exist. He doesn't exist until I see someone mention him. And then I'm like, oh shit, what's going on over there? Yeah, he stole all my shit.
Yep.
Is he still miserable?
Yep.
Yes, good. And then I just go to the weed store. They
We're so similar in that way,
ounces like a month.
We're so similar in that way where it's like, you know, if it's not in the notifications, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about Jim Stewartson. If he's not in my notifications, he's not even real.
Oh, man, I'm gonna get in so much trouble for being here at this meeting.
No, you won't. I doubt it. I mean, you know.
All right, I'm gonna hop off because I gotta start my car and drive to the weed store. You guys have a great day.
Yes, have a good day.
Have a great shopping at the weed store.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye. Okay, well, nobody else has requested, so I am going to end it on that high note, literally a high note. And, you know, hopefully the next time I do this, let's say that I will do this again when StewAnon gets himself resuspended. How about that? Because
that sounds good.
We all know it's basically coming pretty soon, probably, right? Like
it's bound to happen.
Or quit Twitter, because he might quit Twitter to go back to Substack just because it will be so terrible for him. You know, like his reception may not be what he wanted it to be.
No.
Yeah, one of those two things. Okay, well.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, Fred, for holding this and for having me on and everyone else. It's been great.
I'm sorry we were 30 minutes late.
With you, I would say. So thanks
I'm sorry we were 30 minutes late. You know, I didn't know you can't start a space from your computer. That doesn't make any sense, but it's true.
Yeah.
Hey.
Oh, that's sweeter for you.